This month, the month of July, so of course it's the first Monday of the month. So we're gonna talk about freedom from debt. And of course, yes, my name is Jimmy. I do go by Jimmy the Money Lady. So let's go ahead and dive right in here. Now, the first question I do have for you is, what is your biggest debt? Okay. That's a very huge question because not many people think about that. Is it school, as in student loan? Is it credit card loans? Is it auto loan? Is it your mortgage? What is your biggest debt? And I'm asking this question so that way you guys can start thinking about, your biggest debts and actually try to understand where we're going with this. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're talking about is freedom from debt. You want to start thinking about what your biggest debt is right now so you can start analyzing how you can get free from those debts. Okay, let's continue. Now, our agenda and objectives for the day, we're gonna go over who we are, okay? Our services, so your options and choices. What is debt and why it matters? Of course, we're gonna go over having a mindset shift, breaking free mentally first, okay? We're gonna talk about the method of how you can go about eliminating your debt. So there's a debt snowball versus debt avalanche. We're going to go over how to choose your method, steps to implement your method, the method you choose, and of course, key takeaways. And of course, we're going to go over ready for action slide. So let's continue here. Now, um, there it is. So our company, who we are. I mean, first of all, I'm part of Jumbo Stars Finance, which is a part of Veracity LD. We are a successful US and Canada based insurance brokerage and financial services organization, okay, with leaders that have over 35 years of combined industry experience, okay? So let's continue here. Now, the services and providers we do work with in the US. Obviously, the services we provide out here in the US includes annuity. So we help people, clients, we help anyone really needing help with their annuities, getting an annuity. Life insurance, we do provide that, long-term care, college plans, tax-free strategies, business insurance strategies, and so many other services that are being provided in the US. And then on the right, we have the providers that we work closely with. Okay, so we work with National Life Group, Nationwide, Pacific Life Foresters, FNG, Simplicity Lifelink, and Debt America also. That's also one other provider we work with out here in the US. Okay. So now let's continue to the next slide. The next one here is just also pointing out the services and providers we work with in Canada. Okay, so of course we have annuities, segregated funds, life insurance, long-term care, college plan, retirement strategies, and so many other services we offer in Canada. And then on the right side, we can all see the providers out that we work with in Canada. So that includes Beneva, Foresters, Manulife, Humania, Serenia Life, and so many other providers we work with out in Canada. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and dive right in. You're probably wondering what is debt, right? Because at the end of the day, the whole point of this presentation is talking about freedom from debt. So you're wondering what is debt? I mean, obviously, we all know what debt means, right? It is borrowed money that you are obligated to repay, And obviously, all debts really do have interest accruing over time. Okay. And the type of debt you probably know about would be more of credit card debt, student loans, auto loans, mortgages, and even personal loans. Okay. So at the end of the day, you want to be able to differentiate between good debt versus bad debt, right? Okay, let's continue. Now, why is debt a problem? I'm sure we all know. I mean, obviously, there are debts that really have high interest rates, and that eats into your income. Like you may not feel it and see it right now, but over time, you will feel how much interest rates eats into your income. Okay. It also limits freedom and opportunity when you have debt, and it's really something that you're not how do I put this? It's something that you're not paying attention to. It's going to take away your freedom and opportunities to do other things with your income. Okay, so that's really why debt is a problem. Eating into your income, limiting your opportunities, and even freedom. It causes stress and anxiety. I'm sure we all know that too. Like it's not something that um like people who have a bunch of student loans, it does cause them stress and anxiety, and that is a problem. Okay, it also affects credit scores and future goals. Okay, so that's really why debt is a problem. Okay, now let's continue. Now, we want to have a mindset shift. Okay, we want to shift our mindset from, you know, racking up a lot of debts and really getting ourselves out of the debt. Okay, I mean, obviously, it starts with you. Okay. Now, of course, we have to look into our beliefs about money because at the end of the day, that really influences your behavior. Okay. We have to come into a financial discipline because at the end of the day, if you don't have discipline with your money, you're gonna spend more than you make. Okay. So you want to make sure you commit to you building your discipline with your money. So like I said, mindset shift. I mean, obviously, you also want to identify your why. Okay, when I say identify your why, I mean, why do you want to get out of debt? Is it freedom? Is it family? Is it peace of mind? Is it just, being able to do whatever you want to do? I mean, obviously that's freedom. So identifying your why will help you like real quick get out of debt, okay? Because then it's right in your face. You know for a fact this is why you want to get out of debt. Every income you make, you throw it at your debts to reduce whatever obligation you got to pay back, because at the end of the day, if you're not paying back your debts, guess what? Interest is is making that debt grow higher and higher, okay? Okay. I mean, obviously you want to create a vision for a debt-free life too for yourself, okay? Like I said, it starts with you. Now, the methods we're talking about that we brought up during the agenda, the debt elimination method, there's debt snowball. Okay, and of course, the other one is debt avalanche. We'll talk about snowball first. The snowball method is really focusing on the smallest debt first. Okay, I mean, obviously, you want to list all your debt from the smallest to the largest. Okay. You want to pay the minimum on all of them except the smallest. Okay. Now, of course, the smallest, you want to put extra money towards that so that way you can knock it out. Okay, so that's really how it works. You list all your debts from smallest to largest. You pay the minimums on all the other ones that you know that are your current debt. The smallest one, you want to put extra money towards it so that way you knock them out ASAP as soon as possible. And then of course you roll over your payment into the next smallest one. I mean, obviously the psychological win here is just momentum and motivation. Okay, that really gets you going, to be quite honest. And then next slide here we're going to talk about debt avalanche. That's the other method. I mean, obviously, in this case, you're focusing on the highest interest rate first. Okay. Same method applies. You list out all your debts, every debt, by interest rate, of course. So you want to list it out based on the highest to the lowest interest rate. Now, here you also want to pay the minimum of all your other debts except the highest interest rate, so that way you put more extra money. When you're paying the minimum of all the other ones, you have at least some more extra money that you can put towards the highest interest debt. Okay. And then once you're done knocking that out, you want to move on to the next highest interest rates debt. Now, obviously, mathematically, to be quite honest, this saves you the most money because when you knock out the ones with the highest interest rate, then you move on to the ones that have maybe a bit lower and then you knock them out that way too. Okay, let's continue here. Now, obviously, this is just a comparison between the two methods. If you use the snowball method, you want to start with the smallest balance and knock those out so that way when you get to the biggest balance, the highest balance, you eat at those until you get out of that debt. Okay. The avalanche, like I said, you start with the highest interest rate because the more interest you get that's on that debt, the more you got to pay. Okay. So if you start off with the highest interest rate, knock that out, and then you keep going all the way to you're done. That also helps. That's a really good method that gets you out of debt faster. Obviously the motivation here with the snowball is, if you're someone that really loves quick wins, that would be a method for you. With the avalanche, if you're someone that really loves long-term savings, you're like, I'm in it for the longest, for the long game. I'm not here to I'm not doing quick wins here. Like if you're that kind of person, the avalanche method is for you. Okay. Speed. I mean, the snowball, it's really slower overall. And then of course the avalanche is more of a faster pace when it comes to using that method. Now, it's really best, the Snowball is best for emotional motivation. Okay. And then, of course, Avalanche, if you're someone that's math savvy, you budget every month, you're like, I don't want to be paying this. You can definitely, use the Avalanche method and just focus on the high interest rate debt first to knock them out. Okay, let's continue. Now, how to choose the right method? I mean, obviously, it's really a question for you, okay? And there's no wrong method, is what I'm trying to say here. Are you emotionally driven or you're more data driven? Okay. Do you need quick wins to stay motivated, or can you stay disciplined for the long haul? Like I said, no wrong method. Just pick one that works for you and commit to it. Because at the end of the day, in order to get out of debt, you got to commit to how you want to go about getting out of debt. Okay. Okay, let's continue here. I mean, obviously, the steps to implement, list out all your debts. Okay. Choose the method that works best for you, that resonates with you. Create or adjust your budget. Okay. I mean, obviously, if you're planning to get out of debt, you need to budget. I cannot stress this out. Budget, budget, budget. And if you do need help budgeting, of course, we can set up a call later and we can talk more about your budget and, go from there. Identify extra funds. So if you have side gigs, or maybe you're cutting out some expenses, that's extra money you can put towards reducing your debt. Okay. And then of course you want to maybe automate payments. Okay. And when I say automate payment, it's so that way you don't have to think about, having to pay it, because when you automate it, then it just goes straight from your bank towards, the debt collector, and that takes care of everything. And of course, you want to track your progress monthly. This is something that you want to make sure you're tracking aggressively all the time. Okay. Okay. So now yeah, this is pretty much almost, yeah, the last slide, I think. Key takeaways to staying debt free. Obviously, have an emergency fund, okay? And when I say emergency fund, maybe a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, something that like a emergency fund is something that covers, let's say, your rent. God forbid you something happened, I don't know. Or maybe your car, the tire comes off, God forbid. But my point is emergency fund, so that way you're not digging into your savings, or you're not digging into a credit card. You're not reaching for a credit card to pay for whatever emergency is happening at that point in time. So you want to make sure you have emergency funds saved up at least 3 to 6 months. Personally speaking, I would say 12 months, because COVID happened and that really opened everybody's eyes. But my point is, emergency fund, you can start with 3 to 6 months. Avoid new consumer debt. Okay. Like, seriously speaking, if you're trying to buy something and you don't have the funds for it, really ask yourself the question, do I really need this? If you don't need it, then just move on. Like, avoid new consumer debts. Okay. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here is get out of debt. Use your credit responsibly. Okay. Maintaining a budget, because like I said, budgeting really helps you staying on track, helps you with staying on track. Keep your why front and center. So if you have a reason why you want to get out of debt, make sure it's in your face. Like, literally, whenever you're working on your phone, a reminder every hour, every day, something that keeps it in front of you, that really will help you stay on task with staying debt free, or getting out of debt too. Okay. But yeah, that is pretty much it. The next slide here is just, if you have any questions or ready to act on what you learned today, you can email me. You can call me. You can scan the QR code. And of course, that will take you to where you can schedule a 30 minutes consultation with our team. And of course, if you need like a budgeting template for our session, whenever you schedule a call, we can definitely send that template to you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then of course, this are the QR code. You can pull up Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can scan and follow and subscribe, just so that way you can learn more too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you. Yeah, have a good one. Bye.